Welcome to the All Financial Hour podcast with Steve All.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome back. Happy New Year to you. This is the All Financial Hour with Steve All. My name is Jessica. Lots to talk about on today's show. Of course, we're going to talk about those financial resolutions that I know over the holidays you just stewed over. But before we get to that, Steve, welcome back, buddy. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. We decided years ago that week between like Christmas and New Year's was a fairly slow week, and I had people sitting around the office staring at each other, waiting for that phone call because most people don't want to do a review at that time. I looked at it probably about 3 years ago and said, let's take off the week between Christmas and New Year's. Go someplace, people. Relax. It's wintertime. Go do something. Go be with your family along that lines. So I did that because I like to go visit my family. When my kids were little, we used to go to Colorado every year for Christmas. Then when my son started playing hockey, we were in Canada almost every year for Christmas, for hockey tournaments. And so we just went through all of those things there. And now, with grandkids in the picture, New York City, if you've never had the opportunity to go to New York City, Christmas is probably one of the most beautiful times. And I know I'm weird. I love it when it snows there. To go through a run Central Park when it's all covered with snow and doing all those things. So it's fantastic to be there. But it's absolutely the lights and everything. It's wonderful to be in New York City for Christmas, especially when our only granddaughter at this time is in New York City. So Christmas at that age, the boxes are still pretty important, but they kind of like the stuff that's in the box too.
Yeah, she's at the good age, yeah.
Yeah, she's at that great age of, it's between, okay, do I like the toy more or the clothes more, or is it just the box? Because we would get pictures of Mary Violet in the box that the tree came in this box. She was in more box pictures than it was ever. And I said, why are we buying gifts? Why don't we just wrap boxes?
Just wrap empty boxes.
Just wrap empty boxes and give them to her. But my wife wouldn't go for that one. So it's just not going to happen. So as it comes from there, and then the Winter Classic up in Chicago is an event. I've been to the other ones, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Wrigley Field. Had to go to Wrigley Field. Keep that string alive. The only thing bad about it is Matthew, our son, has been with me to all of the Winter Classics. I wasn't supposed to go to Minneapolis, but somebody got sick, and I flew up there with him. Well, Matthew couldn't make it with me to Wrigley Field this year because he's got a baby due in about 7 days.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
So
it's not going anywhere.
I'm sitting here going, I don't think I would want to push his bride to say, just let Matt go, because we've been to 2 of these. You pick those fights, and that's one of them that I was not willing to have my son even contemplate looking at was to go to Wrigley Field while my wife's back in Colorado and can't travel. I didn't think that would be a good idea.
Good call.
So those are the things that are fun, and Christmas is just a wonderful time. The new year.
That's right. Here we are.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? That's the thing that we want to look at. And I feel that our job is to assist people in that journey called retirement. It's not a destination. It's a journey. Most people are looking for that very simple thing. Grow and protect a tax-smart portfolio so that they can enjoy their retirement. Give us a call.
Exactly, especially when you say it's a journey, right? I mean, guys, this is something that you work so hard for, and it takes a long time to get there, and it takes some time putting that plan together. But that's, again, where Steve and the team come in with decades of experience. Allow them to put all their experience to work for you and create this custom, complimentary, and, by the way, comprehensive retirement income plan together for you. Start the new year off right and start it off with a comprehensive financial plan. 636-230-8824, 636-230-8824. And, Steve, you're talking about your wishes, your hopes, your dreams. What is that for 2025? Well, lots of folks out there thinking about making changes this year. So we asked a few of our listeners if they're planning on making any resolutions about their retirement for 2025. Listen to this.
Just travel and spend more time with my kids and grandkids. we're looking forward to it.
Just financial security and enjoy my family.
I think I've saved and I think I'm good to go, but I'd like a second opinion.
Okay, interesting. I think a lot of folks have that same mentality. Hang out with family. I think I've done enough. I just want to enjoy life. So what are some retirement resolutions that we need to consider right now in January of 2025, Steve?
For me, resolutions are a little bit harder because a lot of people that they just have that mindset that resolutions, you're supposed to do away with that within the first 30 to 60 days of the new year. I like setting goals. So I think they're the same thought process. For myself, I like to put a couple of my goals out to the public. This year, I do want to do 29029. It's the endurance event that I've gotten involved with. 29029 is the height of Mount Everest. So you go to a ski resort. I'm not going to climb Mount Everest. Everybody relax about that. That's not, I'm afraid of heights, so that's not going to happen. But you're on a ski resort and you kind of like walk up the ski resort and you have elevation gain of the one in Mount Tremblant was about 2,000. Well, to get that 29,000 feet, you have to do that 15 times. This year, I'm going out to Whistler, Canada to do this. And it's 8 laps, a higher elevation. It's one of those things, but 2 of my employees are coming with me. So I'm really, really excited about that. And I did it last year, and I figured out in the greatest shape that I'm in, I also want to be in the New York Marathon this year.
Wow, good for you.
So that's the part from there. So it's like I've got the calls into St. Jude to say, okay, when is the date that I can sign up for St. Jude as a volunteer to raise funds for them, and I'll put my name in the lottery to see if I actually get it. But I do want to do the New York Marathon this year, and I do want to do the 29029. A guy told me, and he said, if you just keep doing things that push you beyond what you believe your limits are, that's the greatest. So that's when we get back to your question about resolutions. I think those were great ones. The biggest question that most people have is, when can I retire and will I run out of money? That's the major question that we get almost all the time. I also agree that depending on the group, family, spending more time with family is almost on everybody's bucket list when it comes to those retirement journeys. So those are the things. Where can we be of assistance? If you haven't had that second opinion to find out where are you in the process, because a lot of people will actually come in, sit down, and they go, we're not sure if we can retire. And then we gather the information. We put it through the scenarios with the assumption that we're looking at usually 3% inflation, around a 5 to 6% return. What are your chances of a successful retirement? And people go, wow, I thought I had to have X number of dollars. The old commercial where you used to carry a number around, and that's what you needed for retirement. I don't agree with that deal. Why? Because everybody out there, your lifestyle is completely different. We have to get enough to cover your lifestyle. That number's different for everybody out there. So if you've been asking yourself, when can I retire? Will I run out of money?
You know, Republicans and Democrats, they may not see eye to eye on much, or God knows, pretty much anything. But there's a new study from Greenwald Research that says both parties agree there is a retirement crisis and that these are the 4 biggest issues. Number 1, too much debt. Number 2, inflation. Number 3, uncertainty about Social Security. And number 4, lack of a pension or guaranteed income. Steve, I'm just going to let you take this one away. What are your thoughts?
We have a very divided group. We have people that are well prepared for retirement, and we have people that aren't even close to being prepared for retirement. And I'd say the one that you started with first is probably the biggest problem that we have. Too much debt. Credit is too easy to get. You know, when I have people that come in and sit down in my office, you know, and they got $75 to $80 to $100,000 worth of credit card debt, and they want to ask me about saving. And I'm going, I don't have anything out here that you can make 24% or more on. Not on a regular basis. We might have some good years in the market, but we're not going to make 24%. And if you're paying 24% interest on your credit card debt, that's what it would take. You know, get those things out of the way first. I mean, for myself, I don't believe in a lot of his investment philosophies, but Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace is probably the greatest thing that you can do if you're in a credit problem, if you've got too much debt. His Debt Snowball is fantastic. I've taken the class. I was asked to teach it, but I don't agree with a lot of the investment philosophies behind it. But I agree with the idea of what's a want and what's a need. And I look at it when we start to, the young people, when they come in and sit down and talk to me, the kids of my clients, they ask, what should you do? And I said, if you can learn to live by the 80-10-10 rule, you're going to be okay. And they go, well, what's that? And I said, I want you to put 10 to 15% back for your retirement. Not a vacation fund, not an emergency fund, into something that you're not going to touch until your retirement years. Put another 10% towards wherever you get to your faith or a charity of your choice. Give something away, and in my opinion, you get more. Learn to live on 75 to 80% of your money. You're never going to get caught in that trap of spending 125% of your income, because that is the biggest problem that we have out here right now. And in my opinion, it is the ease of credit and the debt that people have. Inflation. It's funny, we could look back 5 years ago and inflation was so low that nobody cared about it. And that's where you get to those idea of headwinds and tailwinds. They're always different. What was a, quote, tailwind, low inflation, years ago is now a headwind. And, people say, will it last? I said, yes, it will last, because I remember the 80s when inflation was way up there. And interest rates to borrow money as a business were at 21 and 22%. Credit card type rates. That's what the banks charged back then. So that didn't stay. It came down. I believe that our inflation will come down again. Social Security. I can still remember when I graduated from college that I didn't think Social Security would be here when I got old enough to take it. I actually am old enough to take it now. My wife is actually getting a Social Security check. So it's here. But what happened in the 80s when they didn't think it was going to be, they started putting some tax on Social Security. 50% of your Social Security incomes over a certain number could be taxed. Then in the 90s, when we thought it was going to go away, they raised that number. If you have income over another amount, that 85% of your Social Security would be taxed. So they kick it down the road as far as they can. Then they do something about it. Because like I said, I didn't think it was going to be here. It is. Do I think it's going to change? Absolutely. I've not heard this from any big person in Congress or anything like that, but I believe in the future that Social Security is going to be means tested. And if you have assets over a certain number and or income over a certain number, you're not going to get your Social Security check. And it's for everybody that's out there that's ready to call me right now and say, that's not fair. I agree with you 1,000%. But if they don't do something, Social Security is going to be reduced by 25% in 2033 or 2034. And I look at it to the point that I believe that the Elon Musks of the world, Jeff Bezos, multi 40 million, 50 million and up people, I believe could live without a Social Security check. I don't believe when the average check is about $1,900, that means that that's the middle point. High right now is about $5,000. So that means low. The lowest I've ever heard was somebody that had about $190 for their, quote, Social Security check. They were a school teacher, windfall elimination. So 190 versus the big ones. The average is about $1,900. If you were trying to live on $1,500 a month and they cut it by 25%, what do you think the chances would be that you could do that? People can't. And I believe that those with assets would rather theirs be lowered than to tell somebody that's got $1,000 check, you're only going to get $750. I just don't see that. I think we need to take care of those things. Then lack of pensions or guaranteed income. We used to have the three-legged stool for retirement. What was it? We had Social Security, we had pensions, and we had personal savings. But what happened? The 401k was introduced. It was designed for wealthy business executives. Put money back so that when you're in a lower tax bracket, you can take it out then. was brought around in the 70s. The highest tax bracket in the 70s was 60 to 70%. So chances are they were going to be. But then we decided, hey, you're letting the rich guys do that. What about us? So the companies looked at it and said, you want to save for your own retirement? All we have to do is put in a match instead of us guaranteeing you a pension? There's not as many industry today that have that guaranteed pension from the companies. It's not there anymore. Just a few things have that. Usually teachers, government, and the trades. So a lot of us don't have that guaranteed income coming in every single month. Then you throw Social Security, the second leg out of it, and say it might not stand up either. Now we got a one-legged stool. Save for our own retirement. And for a lot of people, when you have inflation in the 7, 8, 9% area, groceries going through the roof, they're just making ends meet. They don't have enough to put back for that savings. So yes, we do have a crisis today in retirement. The idea, it's hard to start late. The best time to start is now. If you're young and you haven't, start now.
Yeah.
If you're unsure where you're at in that process, give me a call. If you've been saving and would like that, what I call a personally funded pension, take some of your money, put it into an annuity with an income rider so that it'll pay you a guaranteed amount of income, and if it's for you and your spouse, to cover those lifestyle expenses. And if you've got enough assets to do that, that covers my lifestyle. The extras I can take out of my other savings. I have that guaranteed income that I can't outlive. I think those are the most important things. And I think when we look at this today, overspending's the biggest problem. But a government does that on a daily basis. It's hard to tell the other people not to do it. But remember the 80-10-10 rule if you're younger, and get the debt under control. Credit's way too easy to get.
Thanks for listening to the All Financial Hour podcast.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG. All Financial Group, LLC is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not subject to investment advisor requirements. IPW and All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. All Financial Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by All Financial Group, LLC.
This radio show is intended for information purposes only.